Hello YouTube, it's Phil here with another video. A little bit sick, came down with the flu, but I'm feeling a lot better, so time to do another video. In this one we're gonna have a look at MS-DOS and specifically the first basic commands and especially just we're gonna focus on those that we need to run, install and copy games. So it's all about the games in this one. So we're not gonna do learn too many hard stuff, just the basics. So maybe you watched my previous videos, how to install MS-DOS and how to install the startup files and get your CD-ROM and mouse going. And that's where we are. This is DOS. Everything's fine. We've got the memory going, we've got the mouse going, we've got the optical drive going. Now we just gotta figure out a way to play our games. So the first thing we have to realize is to put games on a computer, we usually use drives, either a CD drive or a floppy drive. Let's say I just put in a floppy in my computer, it's got a game on it. How do I change to the floppy drive? The floppy is A and then colon, and we press enter and it switches to the floppy drive. You will see the light flash on the floppy drive as well. Now if you have two floppy drives, you also have a B drive. To go back to the hard drive, it's C, and to change to the optical drive, my CD-ROM drive, it's D. But let's go back to the floppy drive. Okay, well, I'm on the floppy drive. I'm not quite sure what's on the disk. How can I have a look? The command to display the directory is dir. You press enter and it shows us the contents of the disk. Now that was a lot. Couldn't really see everything. There's a way around that. Now I could just give you all the commands now, but there's a built-in help system which is really handy in case you forgot how to do stuff. So if I want to know more about the directory command, I could just go /? And it gives me a brief overview of some of the other options. For example, /p gives me pauses after each screen, and /w uses a whitelist. So let's try that. /p. Okay, I get one screen at a time, and /w. There you go, that's much better. So now I can see what's going on. Okay, how do I run the game? We're looking for three types of files: batch files, command files, and executable files. Batch files have the .bat ending. Command files have a .com ending. There's no command file in this directory, so I can't show you that. And executables are the .exe. Any of these files usually either run the game, run the setup to change sounds, or install the game off the disk onto the hard drive. So which one is the right one? It's really either reading the documentation or just trial and error. Now, but before I do this, I just have to load my sound driver. Done a little batch file which loads all the stuff for me. I'll go back to my floppy and let's have a look again. So I've got a choice now. I've got print.batch file or I've got print.executable. Now, not always do you get a nice list like that. There might be even more files in the directory, and even showing them in the wide format, you can't see all the files. You can filter by file type. So if you go dir and then asterisk dot, and here you just specify the type of file you're interested in. So if I'm interested in executables, there it is, there's prints. If I'm interested in batch files, here only batch files, and if I'm interested in command files, there's nothing there. Okay, so we have a choice of either batch prints as a batch file or an executable. Usually it's the batch file, but not always, so it's just a trial error. Just see which one is the right one. So let's do that. And this batch file, I think it actually loads a cheat or something. So sometimes it does a few extra things. The first thing you notice is that the floppy drive is quite slow. Takes a while to load. And hopefully I've configured all the cables correctly so that we can hear some game music. So yeah, very soon you'll notice, okay, this takes really long to load games. I might want to copy them over to a hard drive, and that's something we will have a look next. But depending on what computer you have, if it's an old 286, you might be working a lot with floppies. Whereas on a newer 486 and Pentium, you'll likely have a lot more compact discs. Okay, I'm not gonna play too much, so let's quit the game and we're back here. Okay, great. My game is on a floppy. How can I get it on the hard drive? So we go back to my C drive. I have a look at the directory, and now we're gonna have a talk about subdirectories. You can see DOS drivers and AW64 and CTM64, they have this directory indicator next to it. That means they are subdirectories. I can go into those subdirectories, just like in Windows when you double click on a folder. We can go into those directories with the CD, which is the change directory command. So here we are. Again, I can have a look. Ooh, lots of files, 125 files. So I can do a /W, even a lot more files. So there are too many files to see on one screen, so I might have to use my filters and have a look what's going on here. Quite a lot. These are all the DOS commands, print command, mem, and so on. All the DOS stuff is in here, but doesn't interest us. We want to get our game onto the hard drive. Okay, I'd like to have a directory called games. I use the MD, which is the make directory command. So typing in MD games creates our games directory. There it is. Let's go into the games directory. There's nothing here. Let's create a subdirectory for our Prince of Persia game. There it is. And now, what I want to do, I want to copy everything that's on A onto my Prince folder, into my Prince folder. So I go copy, and then I'll copy from A to C. Oops, typo. Games Prince. And off it goes and copies all the files over. Now the copy command is fairly basic. There is the xcopy command, which is more powerful, and it can do also subdirectories. So in this case Prince of Persia, all the files were just in one directory. It had no subfolders, no subdirectories. If you're dealing with subdirectories, you have to copy them all over as well, and that's using the xcopy command. So again, we can use our help system. So for example, if I type in help and then copy, it shows us all the details. So it's a little bit more elaborate than just going with the /? Command. So if I'm interested in xcopy, I can have a look at that, and we can see here there's the /E copies any subdirectories, even if they're empty. That's the one you want to use. So it's just like the copy command, just called xcopy, and then at the end you do a /E, and it copies all the subdirectories as well. So now my game is installed on the hard drive, and if I run it, it just loads a lot faster. So that's the benefit of having it on a hard drive. Okay, now before I show you how to delete stuff again, now let's install something from a CD. So I'll go to my D drive, which is my optical drive, and let's have a look what I put in there. I think I put in Tomb Raider. So let's do what we learned. Let's have a look for some executables, and a couple there, and there's something called install. Usually when you see install, that's what you have to run to copy the game onto the hard drive. So let's run install. If you're not sure, you can do the readme. Actually, it's a good idea. I'll show you how to open readme files. There's an editor built in, so you type in edit. There's our MS-DOS editor, and then you just go file open, and you're just gonna change this. Oh, there you go. There's a readme file, but sometimes it doesn't show all the files, so you have to put asterisk at the top. And now it shows you all the files, because sometimes readme files don't have an ending .txt. They might be just called read.me or something, or readme.first. So let's just open it, and here's our text file, and here it just gives us some information about the game, what you have to do to install it. Very useful, especially back in those days. things weren't as straightforward, so reading the README files is always recommended. Okay, let's type in install, and let's see what we have to do. So the aim now is to install the game onto the hard drive and get it going. Okay, so we can choose a directory. I'll put everything in games. Hang on a minute. They swapped the keys, okay. Alrighty, let's auto detect my sound card.
Right, let's go adventuring.
It's all working. And that's it, continue. I think it's now copying files to the hard drive. And it even puts us into the right directory. Okay, let's have a look. So here we got setup again. So if you want to change our sound later down the track, let's say I bought a new sound card and I'll change the drivers and I'll have to configure the game. I'll run setup again. But to just play the game, let's go Tomb. And it should now load our game. So I'm just pressing escape to fast forward. Yeah, that computer struggles a little bit. It's just a Pentium 166. Much better to play this game with a Voodoo card. Okay, that's it. So let's just see if I can figure out how to quit the game. I'm gonna go here and exit the title. Okay, and we're back in DOS. Okay, let's say you finish the game, you beat the boss, you're over it, you just want to delete it. There's no undelete in DOS. Well, actually there is, but undelete is like the recycle. No, not like the recycle bin. It allows you to recover files you deleted, but we wanna delete the files. So there's no uninstall option. That's what I wanted to say. So what can you do? There's a delete command, del. You can type in del and then the file, but this is gonna take you forever. So you can do this command, del ***, which will delete all the files. But the problem is there's still some other games in here in other folders, and how about you just delete all the games in one hit? And that is what the deltree command does. So if you go deltree games, you can delete all the games in one hit without having to crawl through all the paths. And sometimes games leave files behind, like this one, tombpath.txt. So we can just delete that file and it's gone. And let me just have a look at my cheat list. I think I covered everything. How to that's really it. So this was just a really rough introduction to MS-DOS and some of the commands, with the aim of getting you up and running quickly. How do I run games, how do I copy games, how can I install games, and so on. And that's really it for me. If you like my videos and if you enjoy what I do, you can go to my website, which is felscomputerlab.com. And it's got a ton of YouTube videos, and I'm adding content all the time. I'm into benchmarking, reviewing, testing, and so on.